Welcome to What to Do in Ottawa this summer at Algonquin College's Summer Market event. My name is Bonnie and I'm from the college's events team here. And it's so great to see so many familiar names and faces joining in on this session here. And today we are joined by Jantine van Kregten, who is from Ottawa Tourism. So thank you to all of our attendees for logging in. Now, before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. We do encourage everyone to please turn on your camera because we want to connect with you, we want to see you. And just for the presentation portion of this event, if you could just mute yourself, and then we will have an engaging dialogue session at the end there. And if you haven't done so already, there is a chat function there. So any comments or questions, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll definitely be able to help you out. And we also do have a raised hand function, which is under the participant tab. So if any questions do come up, feel free to raise your hand and then I'll see that there and be able to help you out and get Jantine's attention to answer your question. And before I pass it over to Jantine, we always like to begin our events with an engaging question. So if everyone wouldn't mind, your chat box there, if you open up your chat, I'm going to give everyone the same question and then don't press submit yet. We're all going to submit our answers at the same time. So my question for you, seeing that today's session is about what to do in Ottawa this summer, we would like to know what has been your favorite spot, your favorite outdoor spot in Ottawa thus far. So I'll give everyone a few seconds there to type in a response. I'm also going to be writing one as well.
Should I do the Jeopardy?
I wish I should have had that recorded on my phone and just ready to go. So here we go. I'm going to count down from 3 and then we're all going to submit our answers at the same time. So here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Ooh, so many awesome answers coming in through. Britannia Beach, experimental farm, anything along the river. That's also where I've been going as well. Patios, bike paths. This is awesome, and hopefully during Jantine's presentation, she'll speak more to some of your favorite places there. So now I'd like to pass it over to Jantine from Ottawa Tourism. Thank you so much, Jantine, for hosting this session for us, and we want to hear, I'm so curious, what should we be doing in Ottawa this summer?
Well, have I got some suggestions for you? And I'm warning you in advance, I do tend to go quickly, so if it's too quick, let me know, or let Bonnie know in the chat. And if you have questions as we go, I can answer them as we go. Again, throw it in the chat. So I wanted to start. I'm gonna bear with me as I share my screen. One tool that Ottawa Tourism just launched last week is called the #MyOttawaPass. And if you go to our website, ottawatourism.ca/myottawa-pass, or just Google My Ottawa Pass, you will see that you can download it. It's technically a website, but it's like downloading an app. This free passport gives you access to deals and discounts from more than 60 different local businesses. So I'm just scrolling through here, showing some of the different options. Some are not yet open, but are opening soon. But there's restaurants, there's attractions, there's tours, there's hotels that are part of it. All of this downloadable for free. The coupons are valid until the end of July 31st, 2020. So I really, really recommend that you download that pass today. So that's my first suggestion, is download the My Ottawa Pass and get out and explore in a discounted way. I can also mention that we're active on social media. Ottawa Tourism is. So if you follow us on Twitter, Ottawa_tourism. On Facebook, we're Visit Ottawa, and on Instagram, we're Ottawa Tourism, all one word. That's filled with great suggestions and highlighting really cool things to do throughout the region this summer. I should mention that all the things I'm about to talk about will be available later in the chat, so you don't have to take copious notes as we go through. And if you ever have any questions, my email is media@ottawatourism.ca, media@ottawatourism.ca. Although I should warn you, I am taking July 2nd and 3rd off, so I might not be super quick to respond right away this week, but I'm back in the office next week. Okay, so let's get going. Let's start with outdoor activities, which were some of the first things that people got out and are still some of the safest things to do. So we're so blessed to have Gatineau Park at our doorstep just across the river in Quebec. You can go hiking and biking and canoeing, just a gorgeous spot. Camping is also open there. The Greenbelt is often overlooked, but the Greenbelt is also managed by the National Capital Commission, and it surrounds the urban core of Ottawa. Mer Bleu is a particularly nice area just to the east of downtown Ottawa. Highly recommend that. It's an area that has the ecosystem of an Arctic place rather than a place close to Ottawa, so you'll see flora and fauna that you don't typically see in Eastern Ontario. The National Capital Commission has also closed Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway in the west and Sir George Etienne Cartier Parkway in the east to motorized vehicles each weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So no cars. You can go out on your bike, inline skate, go running. Very safe for families, and it's just a gorgeous route along the river, along the Ottawa River. Similarly, they've closed Queen Elizabeth Drive, the Queen Elizabeth Driveway between Laurier Avenue West and Fifth Avenue every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And all of those closures and that opening up of space for physical activity, all of that runs until September 7th, which is Labor Day. You can also get out on the water. Dow's Lake Pavilion offers rentals. You can do stand-up paddleboarding, kayaks, pedal boats, you name it, so you can get out and get active. Golf courses around the region are open, so get out and shoot 9 or shoot 18. Beaches have just opened, both the National Capital Commission beaches on the Quebec side at Meech Lake, Lac Philippe, Lac La Pêche, and Lac Limy, or Lake Limy Lake. But the City of Ottawa beaches have also opened. Britannia, I believe the actual beach is closed because they're doing some renovations there, but they're still doing water testing and safety stuff. But Westboro, Mooney's Bay, and Petrie Island are open daily from 12 noon to 7 p.m. And there's lifeguards on duty. Great Canadian Bungee for those who really want to take a walk on the wild side. This used to be North America's largest bungee. It's still Canada's largest bungee. 200 feet, you plummet over a quarry from a crane. They also have a zip line that goes over the quarry. That's a heck of a lot of fun. And if you like rafting, we're blessed to have the Upper Ottawa River about 90 minutes drive west of Ottawa. You'll get Rafting Momentum, Wilderness Tours. Those are both operating right now. Owl Rafting opens on July 1st, tomorrow. And Ottawa City Rafting is a relatively newer operation. They actually offer whitewater rafting within the city limits of Ottawa. So you get on the raft at Britannia Beach and you float down the Ottawa River, you paddle. To be honest, you can be as active or as inactive as you want on the paddling because they do have motors on the boats if you decide to cheat. But it is a good workout if you paddle. And you go through 3 sets of rapids. They're class 2 and 3 rapids, so you get bounced around and splashed, but it's not the adrenaline rush of the Upper Ottawa Valley where you can get class 4, class 5 rapids, where you might actually fall out of the boat. In the Ottawa City Rafting, it's a little more beginnerish, but I don't want to put you off on it because it's such a unique way to see the city. Unless you have a boat yourself, you've never been in the middle of the Ottawa River looking at Britannia Beach and the yacht club you go past and Westboro Beach, and you actually see the Parliament Hill in the distance. So it's a really great photo op. You can body surf along the way. They have a fun little cliff jumping activity as well. So I highly recommend Ottawa City Rafting as well. And then tours. If you were typically going on vacation, you might choose in another city to take a tour of the city. But when's the last time you did one in Ottawa? But let me tell you, we have really unique ways of seeing the city that might blow your mind. For instance, did you know that we have a 1939 open cockpit biplane that gives tours that fly you over downtown Ottawa? And in fact, that's in the My Ottawa Pass for 35% off, so it will never be cheaper than it is now. Ottawa Biplane Adventures runs normally out of the Canada Aviation and Space Museum, but because of COVID, the museum is still closed. But the biplane adventures still run from the Rockcliffe Flying Club, which uses the same runway as the Aviation and Space Museum. So it's out by Sir George Etienne Cartier Parkway. It's so cool. Like, you literally are outside. They give you a helmet and goggles to wear, but you are in the fresh air. And when's the next time you're going to get on a plane? It goes by two people at a time, plus the pilot, and it's super fun. Both Rent a Bike and Escape Bicycle Tours offer bicycle rentals if you don't have one and you'd like to partake in the closures of the streets that I mentioned earlier, or you can go on a guided tour with those companies and see Ottawa from a different perspective. Haunted Walk is a company that typically is quite popular around Halloween, but all year round they give great tours that really showcase the spooky history of Ottawa. So you learn a little bit about history, but in a fun way and an interactive way. Boat cruises on both the Rideau Canal and the Ottawa River are opening on July 2nd. I think in my notes that I sent yesterday, I said July 1st, but we just had an update from them that they're actually opening on July 2nd. So Ottawa boat cruises, they go on the Ottawa River, Rideau Canal cruises goes on the Rideau Canal, and Paul's boat lines, they go on the Ottawa River. Ottawa walking tours, they resume on July 2nd. So if you want to just walk through the downtown area and learn more, they're a great resource. Brew Donkey, I have to say, as a craft beer lover, this is one of my favorite things. Brew Donkey does bus tours to local craft breweries throughout the region. You visit 3 or 4 different breweries. Sometimes there's an activity. He's launching golf tours coming up in July. So he restarts, Brew Donkey Tours restarts on July 24th and runs throughout the entire year in a safe way. So they've limited numbers, they provide hand sanitizer, there's physical distance, both on the bus and at the breweries that you visit. There's also a little known, or maybe not little known, maybe you know about this, a water taxi that shuttles people across the Ottawa River between the locks of the Rideau Canal, so between Parliament and the Fairmont Chateau Hotel, and the Museum of History on the Quebec side. It's like a 7-minute trip across the river, but Au Fil de l'Eau is the name of the company. This little water taxi goes back and forth, and they're starting up again. They've started up again. They run from 11 in the morning to 7 at night. It's a great way of getting that really iconic view of the back of Parliament Hill and the Library of Parliament. Super fun and quick. You can bring your bike on board. It's also wheelchair accessible. And then Vanier Museo Park. So it's a little museum area in Vanier, the neighborhood of Vanier. They're offering outdoor guided tours in both English and in French, either at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. So you learn about the history of that area for $5 per person. That's running in July and August, July 6th to August 8th. August 28th, Monday to Friday. Another one of my favorite things is eating, if I'm honest. So in the food and drink category, restaurants, of course, were considered essential services, so never had to close, although many did, but they were limited to pickup and delivery until June 12th, when they were allowed to open their patios. And so we're seeing more and more patios open, which is great, given the weather that we're having. There's too many to list here, but on our website, we do have a list of patios, pool patios that are open. I should also mention a couple things here. Byward Market, the Byward Market neighborhood, they're doing a pedestrianization, say that 10 times fast, a pedestrianization and patio expansion plan starting on Saturday, July 4th. So they're closing to traffic William Street between George and York, so from Beaver Tails to Fish Market, Clarence Street between Perrin, or actually from William to Dalhousie, because you can still get out of the parking garage. So basically from Furniture Warehouse to Dalhousie Street. Byward Market Square between York and Clarence, so where Zach's is, that little block. And York Street, the north side of York Street, between Byward Market Square and Sussex Drive, so from Lux to Play Food and Wine. Patios in those areas will be able to expand and spill out into the street. And even some of the streets that aren't technically closed, like the south side of York, I know that the Chateau Lafayette, Ottawa's oldest tavern, dating back to 1849, they've done a patio they call the Yard in the parking spots in front of where the Laff is. So they have their little street side patio, and then they have a much larger space allowing for physical distancing in the parking area itself. So you'll see a lot more pedestrians. You'll see a lot more space for people to roam free and still physically distance from each other in the Byron Market neighborhood. Speaking of the market, farmers markets, both Byron Market and Parkdale Market, which are both run by the City of Ottawa, they're operating now Thursday to Sunday. They still have click and collect, where you can order in advance and just pick up, but it's also available. You can show up that day and shop. Again, it's not quite like normal in that you have to line up, you have to keep your distance, and there is sanitizer, but you can still shop from your favorite farmers. The Ottawa Farmers Market operates Sundays at Lansdowne. That's going great guns. And starting this Saturday, July 4th, they'll open the Westboro location as well. And the Carp Farmers Market has started on Saturdays in Carp, near the Diefenbunker. And another tour company is called C'est Bon Cooking. And this company operates culinary walking tours of different neighborhoods of Ottawa. And I tell you, even as a local, you learn things on these tours. So you visit different restaurants, retailers, bakeries, and you meet the owners or the chefs. You sample as you go. You hear entertaining stories about their history in business or some of the celebrities they've served. Like the tours are very, very engaging. So C'est Bon Cooking, they resume their culinary walking tours on July 3rd, on Friday. For those looking for more family-friendly suggestions, and some of these are family-friendly and adult-friendly, so they kind of span both genres. Saunders Farm, who you might know from their Halloween programming or their mazes, they've pivoted in the crisis, and they're offering campfire nights. So you can rent for an hour and a half. You have access to a campfire. They provide the logs and like the material to get it going. And for kids, and for families rather, they provide pop and chips and hot dogs and s'mores, all the ingredients for s'mores. They also have a romantic couples option where you get a charcuterie board and a bottle of wine. So there's options there. They also do picnics that you can purchase and enjoy some time in the country. Parc Omega, which is about an hour's drive northeast of Ottawa near Montebello in Quebec, they're a drive-through Canadian safari. So you'll see animals in their natural habitats, elk and deer, and the more safe animals you can actually feed carrots to, and they come right up to your car. Animals like wolves and bears, they have their space where you can go and see them in a safe way. They, at TD Place in Lansdowne, they've started doing those drive-on movies, kind of like drive-ins. So you drive onto the field where the Red Blacks play with your car, and they show different movies. They sold out. They've done that over the last couple weekends. I don't think there's one in the books right now, but it wouldn't surprise me to see those come back. Meanwhile, on the West End, Wesley Clover Parks, which is also a campground, they're offering drive-in movies, comedy nights, and soon live concerts, or at least that's their plan. So Wesley Clover Parks has options. And in the East End, in rural Ottawa, Stanley's Old Maple Lane Farm, they also offer physically distant picnics on their property each Saturday. For those who are into wellness and well-being, the Nordic Spa Nature has reopened in Chelsea, much to everyone's delight. They also have treatments. They're going through different protocols, again, physically distancing and sanitizers and whatnot. Holt Spa is also open in downtown Ottawa near off Rideau Street. For shopping, another great pastime. Retail is open, but many have new protocols. So again, I can't go into every shop, but there are lots of local businesses that would appreciate the business. Shopping malls are also allowed to open, and again, they're implementing new protocols as well. Museums and galleries, unfortunately, these are among the slowest to reopen. So the good news is the Diefenbunker, Canada's Cold War Museum in Carp, so about a half hour's drive northwest of downtown Ottawa, they plan to open on July 8th. So does the Ottawa Art Gallery, which is a free art gallery that only opened in 2018. So if you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend it. So that also has free admission, the Ottawa Art Gallery. So both of those museums are planning to open July 8th, so a week from tomorrow. The National Gallery of Canada just announced that they're open to the general public on July 18th. The members of the gallery, if you pay a membership and you're a member of the gallery, you can go on the 16th and 17th of July, but for the general public, it's open on July 18th. Other national museums and attractions have said later July, August, or even into September. I think a lot of the slowdown is how interactive museums have become over recent years. So there's so much touching. And when I was a kid and you went to a museum, it was like, shut up, don't touch anything. Those days are behind us, but now they're coming back because of COVID-19. So those museums have had to pivot and change the way that they're presenting their information. So that's what's taking a bit longer. And then the other sector of tourism that has also suffered greatly is festivals. Of course, if your raison d'etre as a festival is to gather as many people as possible to enjoy together one show or one performance, under COVID rules, that's just not possible. Right now, our maximum is 10 people. So good news in the past, the Canadian Tulip Festival was one of the first festivals to move to a virtual setup from their usual setup, and that went very, very well. I'm going to do a huge shout out for Canada Day, and if you can bear with me, if I can share my screen again. Canada Day this year will not look like any previous Canada Day. The good news is, though, it's all moved online, and the Department of Canadian Heritage, which runs Canada Day, or manages Canada Day each year, they've got some amazing resources. So if you go to their website, if you Google Canada Day or Canadian Heritage Canada Day 2020, you'll get to this page. They do have a daytime show that's from 1 till 2, and an evening show that's from 6 to 8, and hosted by Serena Ryder and Pierre-Yves Lord. But as you scroll down, you can see other celebrations across the country and at embassies and high commissions around the world. But if you keep scrolling down, they've got these kind of buckets of activities. Let's cook together, let's get active together, let's innovate together, let's discover together, and let's celebrate together. And each one of those buckets has activities and family-friendly stuff and recipes and celebrities that weigh in. There's trivia, there's coloring sheets, there's competitions. The National Art Centre Orchestra performs O Canada. They've asked people to send in their karaoke version of O Canada. So there's definitely lots of cool things that the Department of Canadian Heritage is doing to take Canada Day across the country. Of course, as Ottawans, it's very, I feel strongly about Canada Day. I love Canada Day. It's my favorite day of the year. It's not the same as it has been in the past, but it can still be lots of fun. We're encouraging people to be active, to explore the pathways, to get on your bike and explore, or to go to Gatineau Park for a hike, or rent something at the Dow's Lake Pavilion and go for a paddle. Restaurant patios are open. Go grab a drink, grab a meal with your bubble. Host your own barbecue, host your own party. There are virtual fireworks. There are no real fireworks like a normal Canada Day this year. Ottawa Tourism is also running a contest to win 2 people to come visit in 2021 Canada Day. So you enter today and you can win to bring 2 people from across Canada to Ottawa to celebrate Canada Day 2021. So we're looking forward to that. I should also mention the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition. They're hosting a Canada Day music special at 9 p.m. on Canada Day tomorrow on Rogers 22. So you can tune in to local artists performing here in Ottawa. Looking a bit further ahead on the festival front, Fringe at Home. So the Ottawa Fringe Festival is happening currently up until July 4th. It ends on Saturday. The National Art Centre Orchestra, not the orchestra, the National Art Centre and Ottawa Blues Fest have joined forces they're offering drive-in live concerts by Canadian musicians at the ZB site in Gatineau. That's where the Cirque du Soleil tent was the last couple summers, so just on the other side of the Ottawa River. So they're doing 4 nights currently, July 31st and August 1st, and August 7th and 8th. So Friday and Saturday nights for 2 weekends at the end of July, beginning of August. And Capital Pride, they just announced their programming. I think it's, I wrote down August 21st to 30th, but I think it's the 23rd to 30th that the festival is happening this year. So they are moving virtual as well, but there's drag queen bingo and contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race Canada and who will make appearances and other fun stuff. So I'm wrapping up. I did want to talk about if you did want to do a full-on staycation and involve a hotel stay. Hotels were also declared essential and did not have to close. However, about half of our hotels did close in Ottawa. And of those who stayed open, I think the average occupancy rate was in the single digits. So they have not been doing well or have not been doing their normal business. You can get great deals. And again, in the My Ottawa Pass, there are deals for hotels. They've all implemented protocols for safety. You may find that some of the amenities are either like pools and gyms, and obviously the dine-in restaurants aren't open, but patios can be. But you may find that some of the amenities have changed or are closed, but they're definitely still operating hotels. In fact, the Fairmont Chateau reopens tomorrow. Their patio, La Terrasse, which is one of the best patios in the city, opened last week, but the hotel itself opens tomorrow. And if you're looking for a little off the beaten path or a little different experience for an overnight, I've got a couple kind of lower end options and a couple higher end options. So more affordable options, camping in Gatineau Park, as I mentioned, is open. And the Ottawa Jail Hostel opened June 29th, opened yesterday. So the jail hostel is near the Rideau Centre in downtown Ottawa. It literally was a former jail up until 1970. You sleep in the actual cells, what were former jail cells. So it's not for everyone. Some say it's haunted. It's definitely a creepy place, but it's clean and you get breakfast and they're very friendly. But that's kind of a little different experience if you're looking for something a little off the wall. A couple higher end options. Park Omega, where I mentioned the Canadians drive-through safari, they have what are called wolf cabins. And these are accommodation options with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the wolf enclosure. So a pack of wolves is this far from your nose. You can be nose to nose with a wolf in a totally safe way because there's glass between you that's not breakable. But you hear them howl, you see how they interact with each other. It is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, not inexpensive, but it is a very cool opportunity just an hour's drive away. And finally, I'll mention Le Boat, the very bilingually named Le Boat, is a company that has operated for the last 50 years in Europe. But two summers ago, they came to Ottawa, came to the Rideau Canal system. They're based in Smiths Falls, and they rent luxury boats. I don't want to call them houseboats. I think they're more like yachts. They have either 2, 3, 4, or 5 bedrooms or cabins. Each cabin has its own washroom. So you have space to yourself if you're there, like with grandparents, parents, kids. Everybody has their own room with their own bathroom. You have all your kitchen supplies. You have a barbecue on the boat. All your linen is provided. You can add extras like bicycles or stand-up paddle boards or canoes. And you get on the boat in Smiths Falls. If you don't have a boating license, don't worry. They teach you how to drive. It's super simple. It's not, now, having said that, you're not going to be pulling water skiers behind you. It goes very slowly. But you can cruise the Rideau Canal, head south towards Kingston, head north towards Ottawa. You go through the locks like other boats. The Parks Canada staff are very friendly and teach you how to go through that process. But you can have an urban experience. If you come to downtown Ottawa, dock your boat, walk into the Byron Market, come back, sleep on your yacht, or you can have a very rural experience in the middle of Big Rideau Lake or something in between. You can dock near Merrickville and putter around Merrickville or Perth or Westport. So lots of options there, and it's kind of like having an RV on the water. So you're self-contained, but you can choose if you want to expand your options. So I've been talking for quite a bit. I know there was a lot of information there, but Bonnie, how are we doing on questions? Have there been any?
Hi, Jantine. There hasn't been any questions yet. Thank you so much. I know that was a lot of info for everyone, but we just wanted to, you know, really give the options to everyone. There's so many fun things that are available. So if you weren't able to catch or write down any of those, rest assured, I'll be sharing all of that info in the chat. And then we'll also ensure that we share this information with our community, whether via MyAC or email. So stay tuned for that. So I would just like now to open up the floor to all of you who are attending. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now. Jantine's here. We have about 13 minutes for this session. So if you have any questions, let us know. You can either type in your question in the chat there, or feel free to raise your hand, and then I will definitely, I'll see that there and bring that forward. So over to our attendees. Does anyone have, do they want more details? Do they want more resources? Now's your time. The summer, it's a hot one. It might be a long one. So if you have any questions, let us know. So we'll give it a few seconds here to see if we have any hands up or any questions coming through the chat. But you are also very informative, Jantine, so I'm not sure if there's going to be any questions coming through here.
Is your head spinning?
No, I think it was super informative where I'm also relatively new to Ottawa. I've been here about 2 years, and I thought I knew the city well, but there were so many places that you mentioned that I was like, I had no idea that these things introduced. And Jantine, I just have a question that's come through here. So this person's just double checking. Camping and hiking is open in Gatineau Park?
It is. So to rent a campground, you go through Gatineau Parks or the National Capital Commission's website. So I can't guarantee that there's camping tonight or tomorrow because it's Canada Day. I think they might have sold out certain dates, but it was open to bookings.
Great. And then the next question is, I want to bike around Ottawa. Is there a map I can get to know where there are bike paths?
Ooh, there are several. The best one is a collaboration, National Capital Commission, Ottawa Tourism, Outaouais Tourism, like we've all worked together on something. I know it's available online, so if you Google biking maps, National Capital Commission, Ottawa, it should come up. I know that when it comes up, it's very detailed and it's very big, so you need to drill down, but you can get hard copies. This is hard because pre-COVID, I could say you can get hard copies at the Information Center across from Parliament Hill or at the Gatineau Park Visitor Center, but both those places are closed now. So hard copies might be a bit longer. City Hall sometimes had them, and I believe City Hall is now open, but I don't know what they're doing with brochures because that's a bit more, it's different with the COVID. So, but online, you can definitely access it online.
Perfect. Great. And the next question is, other than officially sanctioned dog parks, are there any other paths that are dog friendly? And then, for example, this person is close to Manotick.
I'll be honest, I don't have a dog myself, so I'm not up to speed on the dog park situation. Within the city of Ottawa, though, parks have, like, there's 3 different park designations. There's no dogs allowed, there's dogs allowed on leashes, and then there's a few actual dog run areas that are fenced in and you can let your dog off leash. Again, I hate to say Google, but like ottawa.ca is the city's website, and within that you should be able to find a list of dog-friendly parks.
Perfect. Awesome. Great. And we have about 10 minutes left, so if any participants have any questions, now is the time to ask your tourism in Ottawa questions.
Or I can throw it back to the attendees. Is there anything that you thought you would hear me say that I didn't say, or any place that you take? If you have a visitor who comes from out of town, where do you always take them that I didn't mention?
So we'll give people a few seconds to see. And then just out of my own curiosity, because I live really close to Parliament, and I do notice that there's a ton of like construction and whatnot happening on the hill right now. Is that area just closed off? Is
So,
it?
yeah, Center Block, which is what we all think of as Parliament Hill with the clock and the Carillon and the Canada flag, that building closed to the public, closed February 1st, 2019 for up to 10 years or more of renovation. So they're going down to the rafters. They're ripping things out. They're bringing it up into 21st century standards for internet access, for accessibility, for so many different things. The good news, and I'll talk pre-COVID now, and then I'll come back to COVID. Pre-COVID, as of February 1st, 2019, you're able to visit the new temporary House of Commons, which they built within what used to be an outside courtyard inside the West Block, so also on Parliament Hill. If you're looking at Center Block, West Block's on your left. They put a glass roof over what was an outdoor courtyard, and that's our new temporary House of Commons. Super cool, really neat to visit, architecturally interesting. The Senate, meanwhile, moved to the Senate of Canada building, which used to be Ottawa's first train station. So directly across the street from the Fairmont Chateau Hotel, it was the government conference center beforehand. But that's the new Senate building. Again, really cool architectural space with soaring ceilings and really cool features on the like little maple leaves on the carpets and things like that. So that's pre-COVID. They haven't reopened for free tours yet, but they should when I think more on the timing of museums, I would say. But the new system that they implemented in 2019. You can actually book tickets for free online in advance. So if you remember years ago, you had to line up at the Capital Info Center and get a ticket the same day in the past. That system, which was from the 1800s, I swear, is now dead. So.
Okay, perfect. And the next question that's come up is, what's your favorite spot to watch an amazing sunset? Or would you recommend any?
Oh, a few. The rooftop of the Andaz Hotel on Dalhousie Street in the Byward Market neighborhood, the Ottawa Andaz Byward Market. It's called Copper Spirits and Sights. Personally, I like shade rather than sun, but if you're a full sun person, you'll love it. But at sunset, it's gorgeous because you're looking west, so you see Parliament Hill, you see the Byward Market is at your feet, you can see the Ottawa River snaking away in the distance, you can see the National Gallery, the Museum of History, the Gatineau Hills, like the world is at your feet. It's absolutely gorgeous. I mentioned La Terrasse at the Fairmont Chateau. So this patio, if you're looking at the front of the Fairmont, it's just to the left and it runs along where the locks of the Rideau Canal are. And they've expanded the patio because what was behind it used to be function space for weddings and conferences. Well, weddings and conferences aren't happening for a while. So they've taken over that space for the restaurant, which means that their capacity is quite high. Again, you're looking west, you have Parliament right there, the locks of the canal below you, the river. That's absolutely gorgeous. And then anything west, like Britannia Beach, Andrew Hayden Park, those are great spots to watch the sunset as well.
Perfect. And I believe this question might be from one of our international students. What are the top 5 sites for an international student's must-see in Ottawa?
Oh, I hate top 5s because it's like, why limit yourself? So I think you have to go by Parliament Hill. Like in non-COVID times, I would say definitely take the tour of the House of Commons and or Senate, but you need to see that. The Rideau Canal, all 4 seasons, you need to skate it or walk on it when it's frozen in the winter, but you need to see it in the summer as well and watch a boat go through the locks. The 8 locks, right as the canal empties into the Ottawa River, it takes about an hour and a half for a boat to go through, but it's fascinating. And the thought that this is exactly the way it worked in 1832 when Colonel By finished building it, I don't know, I love that kind of thing. The Byward Market neighborhood, some people think it's touristy, which is true, but it's also Ottawa's oldest neighborhood. Colonel By himself laid out those streets to function as a market back in 1826. The English-French mix, I love the Byward Market. I love that it's all things to all people or no things to nobody. Like it's what you want it to be, or it can be what you want it to be. I think that's a great spot. Pick a museum or go to all of them, but I find it hard to recommend which national museum to go to, because if you're an aviation geek, go to aviation space. If you like little baby goats, go to agriculture and food. If you want to see amazing paintings, go to the National Gallery, but pick one of those and experience that. And then my last would be, I think you have to have some sort of natural experience. So whether it's Gatineau Park, Greenbelt, Mer Bleu, like I mentioned, just get out in a forest or go snowshoeing in the winter. You just have to breathe that fresh air. And be thankful that we live in a city that has all the amenities of a much larger place, but that easy access to recreation and green space, like I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Awesome. And I guess a follow-up question to that is, do you personally have a favorite spot in Ottawa?
Oh.
Not to put you on the spot right now, because you've mentioned a lot of wonderful spots there.
Well, pre-COVID, I would say one of my favorite spots is the Chateau Lafayette, which is a divey tavern on York Street in the market that's been around as a drinking hole since 1849, so it predates the country. On Saturday afternoons, there's a show by a guy called Lucky Ron. He's been doing it since 1986, not in that location consecutively, but that show, which is like hurtin' country songs from the 50s and beyond. And again, this is pre-COVID. It was packed solid with people, and it's just, you see cabinet ministers and homeless people and everything in between, and it's just, I don't know. Watching the Lucky Ron show was my happy place.
Perfect.
It's very specific.
Yeah. I don't see any questions at the moment, so we have time for one more if anyone is curious. And I have
a challenge for everyone, or hopefully an inspirational speech. More than ever, like Ottawa Tourism years ago, our mandate, our raison d'etre was to bring people from outside Ottawa here, heads and beds, like get people from Montreal, from Toronto, from Germany, from Australia, from China to come here to Ottawa. We didn't really talk to locals because, again, we saw our mandate years ago as just bringing outsiders in. Even pre-COVID, but especially with COVID, we recognize that everybody, number one, with COVID, you need to be comfortable. And so Ottawa Tourism today is not running ads in Toronto or Montreal saying, come to Ottawa, because we're not ready yet. Legally speaking, yes, people can travel, but the local population isn't quite ready to see all these foreign license plates come in, or not foreign license plates, but you know what I mean. But we want to do it in a safe way. We want to do it in a secure way. But we all, as Ottawans, as people who live in Ottawa, we all play a role in that. So we all have within ourselves the ability to, when it's safe and when we're comfortable, invite friends and relatives to visit. Come go rafting with me on the Ottawa River. Come for a biplane ride. So more than ever, locals are real ambassadors for the city. So I'm signing you all up as Ottawa Tourism volunteers to bring more people to the city when it's safe to do so.
Perfect. I'm signed up already. I'm definitely keeping that in mind. And what I'll be doing shortly, our time is coming to a close here. So all of our participants, what I'm going to do before we sign off is in the chat there, I'm going to be posting all of that information that Jantine spoke about. So feel free to copy that over. And if you do happen, for whatever reason, miss all that content in the chat, like I mentioned, it will be shared with our community, whether through MyAC or through email. So keep an eye out for that. And Jantine, thank you so much for speaking to our community today. It's just so refreshing just hearing about this, because I know all of us have just been stuck inside for so long, and we want to hear what does our summer look like, and you've just opened up so many possibilities that I'll definitely be tapping into. So thank you so much from our community. And
my pleasure. And I always say that in regular times I have the best job in the world, because when you live in a community, you know all the crap that happens, like the LRT, or like, don't get me going. But I get to see, normally I welcome travel writers from around the world, and I get to see our city from others' eyes. And it's amazing what we have and take for granted sometimes. We truly do have a great municipality. Can it be better? Yes. Should we always work to make it better? Yes. But we're starting in a pretty good space.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jantine. And at that, thank you to all of our participants for tuning in today for our summer market event. It's been a great afternoon. And what I'll be doing shortly is right now, I'll be working on posting all that info in the chat. So feel free to start logging off, but stay tuned. I will be posting that info in the chat there. So thank you again, Jantine, and have a great day, everyone, and have a great summer.
Thank you. Happy Canada Day.